A mostly cloudy day here in Washington, D.C., and it's the start of another Big East battle this weekend as the Georgetown Hoyas host the Creighton Blue Jays, two teams who are really looking for some wins here. Glad you're with us here on the Georgetown Hoyas YouTube page. I'm Christian Taylor, and these Georgetown Hoyas this season, 8-20 overall, 0-12 in Big East play. They have not won since March 1st. And they are looking right now at a 17-game losing streak and looking for something to change. For the Creighton Blue Jays, they're at 12-19 this season, 2-7 in conference play. And on their end of things, they've dropped 15 of their last 19, including 9 of their last 10. So they're also looking for some big wins here, and they'll do so on the road in Washington, D.C. It is Kayla Dunn who is starting inside the circle for Georgetown today. Has a 4.55 ERA, which is best on the team. She's been the one who has gotten the most wins as well for this Hoyas pitching staff. 4-10 is her record this year. Has now tied for the most appearances on this team along with Sage Hager. First batter for Creighton is Sidra Seville, the center fielder, as the first pitch is in for strike one. First pitch at 3:01 p.m. here on Friday, April 4th, 2025. Kayla Dunn ready to go for pitch number 2 to Seville. As you see, the corner infielders are in, and strike 2 is looked at. Seville batting .389 this season. She has been great. She leads the team in that category. And a resounding 44 hits. And just outside the black. Make it 1-2. There's already a case for her being another All-Big East selection after being named to the second team last year. 1-2. Just ripped foul, so the first time that bat and ball met. And things will reset here. Seville center fielder wearing number 3. She's the senior out of New Lenox, Illinois. Doesn't have to go too crazy far to get to Omaha, Nebraska. And there's a swing and a miss for strike 3, and that's the first out of the game. Brings up the shortstop, Ashton Pearson. Batting third behind her is Lily West, the catcher for Creighton. Designated player is Kaylin Schultz. She bats fourth. Dunn's delivery is a strike. Sydney Potter is fifth at first base. Hannah Poole's sixth in right. Seventh, Erica Perez at third base. Eighth is Kenzie Nakasawa at second base, and ninth is Lynn Davis in left. 1-1. Kenzie Schofer is the starting pitcher for Creighton, who is continuing to warm up in Creighton's left field bullpen. Slightly windy today here as well, as that one's bounced in. 2-1. Nothing too insane. There have been some wilder ones, if you will, but so far, just a pretty relaxing, comfortable day for some good college Big East softball here at the Washington Nationals Youth Baseball Academy in North D.C. The 2-1. There's some contact, and it's into left field for a base hit. And Ashton Pearson gets things going for the Blue Jays in the first. And so now it's Lily West, the catcher. Was hitting .314 this season. 15 RBIs as well, still without a home run. But the home run category is very much apparent with the next few batters due up for Creighton, as there's ball one. Lily West, the junior from Oklahoma. Just a really impressive piece here for this team, and certainly in these last few seasons, she already kind of made a name for herself as a young freshman This pitch is on. There goes the steal to second for Pearson, and she is in comfortably. For Pearson, that is her 9th stolen base this season. She's second best on the team behind Sidra Seville, who just sat down on strikes. But Lily West in year 1 already had 35 hits. Last year had 33. And this year has leveled that total and is 1 hit away from breaking last year's complete tally of hits. 3-0 is the count. West sits and waits, pulls back the bunt, as the green light was perhaps on there. 3-1. Now, Kayla Dunn looking for a good start here today. There's been a lot on her shoulders this season, and same goes to Sage Hager, who came in from Santa Clara. Grounded right at first, and it's beyond. Abby Kozo rounding third, headed home is Pearson. Creighton are on the board early. RBI single for West. Well, there seemed like a chance that Abby Kozo was going to be able to scoop that there at first, but it just scooted underneath her. And that gives the first run of the game to the Creighton Blue Jays. Now it's Kaylin Schultz, the DP. Bounces in for ball 1. So indeed, it's been a pitching staff for Georgetown. It seems like been able to find a few things as of late, but Dunn, Hager, and Parker have been the 3 starters this season. Of course, Dunn and Parker being on this staff these last 2 seasons, and argue they've been able to add a few more things to their repertoire, as that one just barely skips away from Holly Pardini behind the plate. So into second base goes Lily West. Michaela Dunn, the leader of all of them, as time is called. Coach Cameron Dolby's going to come out and chat with Dunn, who got the first out against Sidra Seville, but now these last 2 batters, both a couple of singles, and runners have been able to advance as well. Well, Creighton, an exciting start for them to this game, as they are not quite in a deep losing streak like Georgetown are, but in an area where they're really just trying to match what they did last year, which that task is high and tall, but very possible. A lot of players who are back this year. Pitch is on the way, and there's a strike. Perhaps that conversation from Coach Dolby just to settle down Kayla Dunn. She has this great expertise. She'll look to go again here as it's fouled out. 2-2. The other pitchers who have seen some action this season, Avery Wismar has some starts too. It's 15 appearances. And Emily Collins and Abby Kozo have seen a combined 2 appearances, as that one yet again skips to the backstop and into third goes Lily West. So has very surely worked her way to third after that RBI single. And just gets a little bit closer, a little bit easier for Kaylin Schultz at the plate. Who sees another popper foul as it stays at 3-2. Still just 1 out here in the opening half inning. Schultz waits. That's called ball 4. Now there's runners at the corners with 1 away. And Sydney Potter. Potter has been able to add some power into the middle of this lineup. Hitting .265 this year. We mentioned the 6 homers, but a really good in first place on the team, 28 RBIs. This offense continues to get to you. Those top 5, 6 batters just got a lot of pop, a lot of energy. As that swung through for strike 2 for Potter. The sophomore out of Iowa. Southeast Polk High School is where she attended. Year 2 here with Creighton, as that one is slow to get in there. As Dunn wanted her to try and get ahead of that. 1 and 2. Now still runners at the corners. See the active defense for Georgetown here today. Wanted to make sure that that second run does not cross the plate. Pitch on the way, and it's elevated, and Potter swings through it. So Dunn with a couple of strikeouts. She's 2 away now from 350 strikeouts in her career. That's been a constant this year for her. So her ability to strike batters out leads the team by a bit. Now has 52 in this game. The next best is Julia Parker with 25. That's always been a part of Dunn's repertoire, is just blowing past batters. She has so much strength. Continues to work on that every offseason. And there's strike 1 to Hannah Poole. 294 average this year. Doesn't get much easier, does it? 20 hits on the season. A senior from Nicholson, Georgia, has made her rounds across Division I softball. And we'll get to that in just a bit. Right now it's a 1-2 count to Hannah Poole, the 6th batter in this inning. And Dunn gets out of the frame. After getting in a jam after allowing a run, she gets out of it. So the score is 1-0 Creighton. Georgetown batting for the first time next. Georgetown now at the plate for the first time today. Happy you're with us. This Friday afternoon, Brooke Rebhan, the leadoff batter for Georgetown, looks in at strike 1. Pitcher for Creighton is Kenzie Schofer, senior out of Savannah, Missouri. It's leveled at 1. She threw a 5-inning perfect game against Georgetown last year when the Hoyas made their trip to Omaha, Nebraska. A couple of 8-0 losses. That was one of them. Swing and a drive into left field. Ranging over is Lynn Davis. And she records the first out. And now steps in Claire Turner, center fielder for Georgetown. She'll be followed by Emily Strittmatter, Abby Kozo 4th, Naya Campos batting 5th, Sammy Fenton, the shortstop, wearing number 25, she's 6th. First pitch to Turner is a ball. Holly Pardini 7th behind the plate, Nina Sarlo 8th in left, and it is Gabby Park batting ninth in right field. That is how the Hoyas line up today. Pitch comes, and there's a strike. It certainly shows the depth, both of these two teams, how they can just dig into that bench, and there's going to be some impact, and both coaches have been able to vary the lineups this season. Of course, a player for Creighton that is not starting today is Ella Dalton, who has started 29 of the games this season. This is a grounder right at third. Erica Perez to first. 2 away. And of course, another one being Avery Barnard, who has played in 22 this year as well. Ashley Smetter, another 26 games, 14 starts. So seeing how deep that Creighton can go with head coach Krista Wood. As ball one is looked at there for the third batter, and Emily Strittmatter. For Georgetown as well, a player like Danny Koo not starting in this game. Let's go to Juliana Paul as well. So a few other players that Coach Carla Ross can dig into. This one hit it to right center field, and it drops. Strittmatter going into second base. That is a 2-out double for the sophomore from Scottsdale, Arizona. Hoyas are on the hit board today. Time called. Actually, that's the first hit that Kenzie Schofer is allowed to Georgetown. Her second time going up against them. And so now with a runner in scoring position, it forces this conversation on just maybe perhaps how to address Abby Kozo, who's hitting a really strong .321 this season and has started and played in 28. Still looking for her first home run of the season. Very solid 13 RBIs. Big spot for her here, as Georgetown try to tie up this game in the first. Schofer pitches this one, and it's a strike. The Schofer this season, a 5.36 ERA. Still yet to record a win. At 0-6, but this is her 17th appearance of the campaign. Strike two. That's the second most appearances on this team, behind Brooklyn Patchen. Has the most with 22. Best ERA on the team is Brooke Shiflett. That 3.64 ERA. And it's a pitching staff that's looking to kind of reinvent itself after some departures from last season. Natalia Pacino's the big one, Big East Pitcher of the Year. Also threw a no-hitter last year. This one lined in at third, and Erica Perez says that one's mine. First inning done. Georgetown leave one stranded. Second inning next here in Washington, D.C. They'll go 7-8-9 for Creighton in the second inning. 1-0 Blue Jays leading the Hoyas at the Nationals Youth Baseball Academy. Perez, the third baseman, making the out to conclude that last inning. So she has to turn around awfully quickly and step in there to that left-handed batter's box. Perez, the junior from California, Madera High School. Looks at ball one, and this season she's hitting .282. 20 hits on the season, 20 RBIs. There is close to no let-off in that Creighton lineup. Just a lot of players who can hurt you. Ripped foul for strike two. I mean, that even includes your next few batters. Kenzie Nakasawa, 318 average, and Lynn Davis at 218. She's the lowest batting average of anybody playing for Creighton today. Stays at 1-2. As Kayla Dunn was able to get out of a jam in inning one after allowing a run. Had runners at the corners, one away, and she took care of business. This one very hard hit at second base. As Brooke Rebhan, who converts the first out of the second. As Kenzie Nakasawa steps in, will run through the defense for Georgetown. Abby Kozo at first. Brooke Rebhan at second. Emily Strittmatter at third. And Sammy Fenton over at short. Dunn takes the first one home. Just misses. Behind the plate is Holly Pardini. Left field, Nina Sarlo. Center field, Claire Turner. And right field is Gabby Park. That's the defense for the Hoyas. 1-0. Once again, a grounder at Rebhan and takes care of business for the second straight time. That's her second put out and second out of the second inning. That's Lynn Davis, sophomore from Omaha. Didn't have to go too far to school. We mentioned her .218 average. This is her 20th start of the season. It has 12 hits this year. Ball one for her. So, Davis as well wearing number 26. That is the highest number on this team, but last year played in 15 games. Usually stepped in as a pinch runner. Hit foul. Pinch hitter as well, able to put together 3 runs. And that 11-2 win against Georgetown last year, her lone at bat, she did drive in a run. She has been able to get something off the Hoyas in her young career. She looks at strike two. It's always interesting to see how players respond in their second season. And she's been trying to make the most of it for sure. Pitch comes home as it nearly skips away from Pardini. Moves level at 2 apiece. Well, Davis this season looking for her first hit since March 9th on the road at Providence. She's looked at 4 straight games without a hit and nearly got something there, but Sammy Fenton able to readjust to it. And 1-2-3 for Kayla Dunn through the second inning. Home half is next. 1-0 Creighton. For Georgetown, it's 5'6'7". Naya Campos, the DP. First stepping in. 234 average and has some power. 5 homers this season for her. The junior from Tucson, Arizona. And you got to be ready at all times against her. Strike one is seen. She is 5th all-time in home runs here at Georgetown history. 1-1. And she is 1 home run from tying for 4th all-time. Cameron Kondo graduated here a few seasons ago, and that's saying a bit because Kondo had started elsewhere. She had only played about 2 seasons with Georgetown, and she had hit so many home runs. Strike 2. Was a part of that 2023 team that just barely missed the Big East postseason. One and two count to Campos. And she check swings through it. First out of the second and first strikeout for Kenzie Schofer. That's Sammy Fenton, the shortstop. Transfer in from Penn. And let's see how she addresses Schofer here. And a strike is looked at by Fenton. So how the defense looks for the Blue Jays. Behind the plate is Lily West. First base, Sydney Potter. Second is Kenzie Nakasawa. 0-1 coming. It's a weird one hit into right field, but tracking in is Hannah Poole. It was in a dangerous spot. Could have landed anywhere, but Poole with a good jump on it. Holly Pardini is next, the catcher. But at third is Erica Perez for Creighton shortstop Ashton Pearson. Big East Defensive Player of the Year last season. Leads the team in assists here in 2025. Left field, Lynn Davis. Center field, Sidra Seville. And right field is Hannah Poole. It's a good defense. 35 errors this season for Creighton defense. Fielding percentage overall of a .961. It's compared to Georgetown, who have a fielding percentage of .954, just a few ticks below that, but a few less errors at 32. Two balls, one strike to Holly Pardini, the catcher. Sophomore from California. Just foul. Interested in it was Erica Perez at third. Pardini sitting at a 172 average this year. 11 hits. Has a double, has a home run as well. And she's gotten the start in most this year. 2-2. Just missing outside. So now it sets up a really interesting scenario. Schofer, this full count, 2 outs. Doesn't want to let Pardini do anything else here. And sure enough, she does something. Hit in the left field. And once again, it's a 2-out double for Georgetown. Strittmatter saw 2 outs on her. She hit it into right center. And now Pardini, a hit into left center. And for the sophomore catcher, that is just her second double of the season. 3rd extra base hit. Nina Sarlo, who is due for something here, looks at strike one. 0.77 average, has just 2 hits on the year. It's a ball. Well, she did get a hit there against James Madison in this last 2-game series. Had a hit against Villanova. That's it. Due just to really have a big game. Strike 2. Has 1 RBI, which she had put together in the last win for Georgetown against Drexel. Didn't get a hit in that game, went 0 for 1, but had an RBI there. Holly Pardini with some motivation there at second base. Gonna pass it along to Sarlo. 1-2 count. Chopper at first. Mishandled by Potter. And it is Sarlo who sneaks in there. Runners at the corners, 2 outs. And it's Gabby Park, the 9-hitter. 268 average. Gives a really good option for the Hoyas at the bottom of the lineup. 19 hits this year. And she picks one right up at first base again. Potter this time takes hold. And just as quickly as the threat was started, it is concluded. And we go to the 3rd inning with Creighton holding on to a 1-0 lead. Creighton go back to the top of their lineup. 1-2-3 here. Sidra Seville, who struck out swinging in the 1st inning. All right, to lead off this 3rd. It's just so hard to get her out, and Dunn struck her out. But now Seville is ready for round 2 against Dunn as bunt is shown. And there's a strike. This Creighton team we talked about, 12-19 this season. 2-7 in Big East play. Those lone Big East wins. As this one just in play and then rolls foul. So good layoff by Pardini behind the plate. Conference wins. Got one against Providence. Creighton. That was their first one of the season. They got another one in 8 innings against UConn on March 28th. Hit it short. This is Fenton. Put a whole lot into that. Knew she had to hustle. It's the first out of the 3rd. So that game against UConn where they won in 8 innings, 7-6. Remember, it was the next game. I mean, it's just a game that you have to look at multiple times. It was a 22-18 game. 22-18. That's just unheard of. As this one bunted in, and safe at first is Ashton Pearson, who will get her 2nd hit of the day. Just a simple bunt and trusted her pace to run that out over there. Lily West is now up single and an RBI in the 1st inning. That game, UConn had struck for 9 runs in the 1st. Creighton were clawing back, including a 6-run 4th inning. But yeah, that was literally a game and a half One that had caught the attention of some around the nation. Remember, it was that power outage that suspended it for just a little bit. They resumed it the next day. A 2-0 the count. There goes the runner again, and Pearson to second, but they got her that time. Gunned down by Pardini. That's the second out. And for only the second time this season has Pearson been caught stealing. Now 9 of 11 this season. And it sets up a new situation for Kayla Dunn now inside the circle. But it's a 3-1 count to Lily West. Pitch coming, foul ball. There's Creighton. It's hard to respond to and get back into form after what was an incredible year last year. A season where they went to the Big East Championship game. As there's ball 4 to Lily West. And it brings up Kaylin Schultz, who walked her last time up. 36-22 record, 16-8 in conference play. Lost to Villanova there in the championship game. Picked up their first 35-win season since 2010. Of course, you lose some big names. Kayla Nielsen, all Big East first-team selection, broke the all-time career runs scored record for Creighton. Madeline Vejvoda, who is all-conference first-team second baseman. Well, now she's on the coaching staff for Creighton, so didn't go too far, but no longer participating on the field. And, of course, we talked about Natalia Pacino, Big East Pitcher of the Year. You lose a few players like that, it's hard to regroup, isn't it? But done a decent job of that. Just in the recent stages, some games that you feel like would have wanted back. 1-2. Grounder at short, and it was Fenton who took a step one way, and the ball went the other. A couple of batters reaching here with 2 outs. Sydney Potter, first baseman, now ready to go. And the infield will come in and chat. But Creighton this year, we talked about they've dropped 15 of their last 19, 9 of their last 10. But 15 games this season have been decided by 2 runs or less. 11 games decided by just 1. In those close games, they're 5-10. 3-8 record in the 1-run games. But they've been battle-tested. We talked about that UConn game where they are able to come back and win. They had scored 6 runs there in the bottom of the 7th, 1 more in the 8th inning. It's a heroic comeback there against the Huskies. What a crazy series in the end, wasn't it? Some of the best to go at it. But, you know, we talked about just on the losing end, a few of these close games have been for Creighton this year. As this 1-0 pitch comes in, moves it to 2-0. Last year, there were 23 games decided by 2 or less runs. Now in those games, 15-8 record, 11-5 in 1-run games. So it's as if it was inversed last season. And it shows the importance of winning and closing out tight games. Those are how you see champions. Ones who can win it in stressful situations. 3-0. Moves to 3-1. Kayla Dunn keeping a conversation in this at-bat. Sydney Potter, who struck out swinging in the first. Dunn is one strikeout away from 350 in her career. And this one hit not too hard at shortstop. Sammy Fenton takes hold. And Georgetown get out of the jam. Once again, they're up next in the bottom of the third inning. 1-0 Creighton. So just as Creighton had gone to the top of the order in the third, so too do Georgetown now. Brooke Rebhan, who flew out to left field to start the game, is the batter for the third. As she lays down the bunt, and it just trickles foul. Tried to take a piece out of the Ashton Pearson playbook. Hoyas have left a few stranded in this game, 3 to be exact. We got 2 runners on there, runners at the corners in the second inning with 2 outs, but Gabby Park ended up grounding out to first base. Now it's an 0-2 count to Brooke Rebhan. A .297 average this year, 11 hits, a couple of RBIs. A rise is on her. Rebhan just playing in her 16th game this season. Outside for ball 2. Missing just a few games, been a little in and out there, this lineup, but getting this start today. 2-2. Drop third strike, but is gunned down anyways at first. Now it's Claire Turner. Has been one of the more reliable players this season. Her 25 hits is tied for second on the team. It's been really incredible watching her growth from day one. That freshman season, she did a lot of good things. You could see the speed. You could see just the love of the game. And now in her junior year from Palo Alto, California, she is a mainstay and a must-have in that starting lineup. As she towers one foul. So to 1-1. Now this Georgetown team, as we talked about, 8-20 overall, 0-12 in conference play. It's a 17-game losing streak after starting the season really well at 8-3. Getting some of those non-conference wins, those neutral field conference wins. So that last win was a 16-4 win against Drexel on March 1st. 6 games in this stretch have been decided by 2 runs or less. Just haven't been able to pull a few of those in. Softly hit it short. Ashton Pearson, no problem there. And this is maybe the most dangerous territory if you're Creighton. 2 outs against Georgetown. That's where they've done their damage today. And Georgetown last year, 14-33, 4-20 in conference play. Certainly with the departure of Pat Collin, you had to wonder just what players would stay, what would leave, but you got to give credit. Really, just about everybody here. 14 players came back, 2 players transferred in, and there's also 4 new freshmen this season. And not too many departed. Cameron Winter, who had transferred in from Michigan State at 46 games. Macy Levitt as well from Cornell at 44 games. And then you lose Gianna Shulo, Kiaris Alvarado Rojas. And whilst all those players were very important and just loved the game of softball, if you were to look at the contributions as a whole, Georgetown didn't lose too much. They lost some pieces, but not maybe necessarily as much as a few other teams in this conference. You're getting a lot of good returners this year. As this one's hit into right. Again, another 2-out hit for Strittmatter. Reached for it and landed comfortably in front of Hannah Poole in right. Abby Kozo, the 4th batter now. Georgetown have 4 hits today, and Strittmatter has 2 of those. Talk about somebody who has stepped in beautifully this year is Strittmatter. Leading in the batting average, and there she is at first. You see why as she fakes the steal of second base. That's saying a lot, certainly with Strittmatter was able to accomplish last year. 2-0. Last year, she did have a .333 batting average. She ended up dropping down at .242 by the end of the season. Finished with 30 hits. It's on pace to topping that this year. Two outs in the bottom of the 3rd. Count reads at 2 balls and 1 strike to Abby Kozo. Kozo awaits on this one. Also hit at 3rd. Perez throws it to first for the 2nd straight time. Kozo being retired thanks to Erica Perez. And so 3 innings are in the books, and Creighton holding on to a 1-0 lead. Hannah Poole for Creighton. It's the 6th batter. She struck out swinging in the 1st. And the now 3-time or 2-time transfer ready to go. And looks at ball 1. So she started her career over at Radford. It's the Highlanders there in Virginia. Not too crazy far from here. Not saying it's close, but it's not across the country. And Poole over at Radford, couple seasons, 7 games in her first season. That was in 2020. And then the year after, did not play at all, redshirting. Strike two. And 2022, really the big year that she had there at Radford. 47 games, 43 starts. Second base and right field is where she played a bit of. Towering into left center, it's Claire Turner who calls off Nina Sarlo for the first out. Well, then Poole, she continued on, of course, to Furman. Her junior season there in 2023, had a .233 average, played in 36 games. And then last year, 48 games she started with the Paladins. A .259 average. 3 homers, 55 total bases for her. And Kayla Dunn calls time as she ties up her shoes here. That was a Furman team last season that went 24-30, 9-12 in conference play. Lost to Western Carolina in the SoCon tournament. 2-0 now to Erica Perez. And oddly enough, she did play against Georgetown in that 2023 season. It was the first game of the season for the Paladins against the Hoyas. It was the River City leadoff in Jacksonville, Florida. Strike there. Three balls and one strike to Perez as it cut in on her for ball 4. Kenzie Nakasawa, the second baseman. She grounded out to second in inning number 2. 318 average, the sophomore from Yuma, Arizona, looks at strike 1. And Nakasawa this season, you just have to be really excited with what she's been able to do after not playing at all last year. So now this season, stringing 14 hits together. And she's on a pretty nice roll here. Has some hits in her last 3 games. 5 hits to be exact in her last 3. Had a couple against Omaha on April 1st and a couple against UConn in that long game, the suspended game. 0-2. A runner at first. It's Erica Perez who walked. Dunn bouncing back in this at-bat and keeps it at 0-2. Nakasawa over at Cibola High School there in Arizona. All-region first-team selection. A .455 average there as well as a senior. After Dunn sits and talks to Strittmatter, she rolls back onto the rubber. Nakasawa going to try and extend a little bit of this lead for the Blue Jays as it skips over the glove of Dunn. Look at that flip to second base by Rebhan. They get the lead runner, and Fenton couldn't quite convert the relay, but that was insane. I mean, that's something that you see out of pros. And she made that look real easy. Flip to second. A 4-6 fielder's choice for the second out. Gosh. A lot of these Hoyas just known for great defense. It's always at least going to help you out a little bit if you can convert the plays you need to. I've certainly seen other teams really across the nation when they don't have a good defense, everything just kind of spirals out of control. We talked about what this team's fielding percentage was this year. It's about 95%. This is a bunt in front. Dunn quickly sprinting away from the rubber and guns down Davis at first. It took some good defensive plays to retire the Blue Jays, but the Hoyas do it as their part of the fourth is next. It is 1-0 still for Creighton. Naya Campos for Georgetown. She led off the second inning. She's now leading off the fourth. And she struck out there and looking for a different story. Now here in the fourth inning, slow dribbler at first, and it's pretty simple for Sydney Potter in the end. And now it's Sammy Fenton. Well, I think we got to talk about the uniforms for both of these two teams today, and I think a constant through college softball is just how excellent some of the uniforms are. Every team, it seems like they're using so many different color combos that you could imagine. If it's a part of the logo, it's being used. Part of any color scheme, and for Creighton, they got a few different options they can go with. You got a royal blue, you got a navy blue, and a sky blue too. As this one's up the middle, base hit for Fenton. Her first hit of the day. Georgetown's first hit that is not with 2 outs, by the way, in an inning. And now they've got more hits than Creighton today, but now just a matter of finding a run. Holly Pardini, who doubled in the second inning, is up. Of course, with Creighton, you can add in black and white. That's just a given, as well as some gray. So you can do that for just about any team. And they've been able to use all of that. So their uniforms today, they're working with the sky blue. If you can't see it on your screens, folks, there's a light white pinstripe going down the entire pattern of both the shirt tops and the jersey pants. Light blue visors as well, but how about the socks? I think that's worth noting. It's the stirrup socks, which is just that classic feel. 1-1, moves to 2-1. But here's the kicker about it. So a lot of times you'll see stirrup socks, it's stitched in, right? You got the white and then whatever colored lines you got, it's just a part of the sock. These are legitimate stirrups. You're seeing slack on the outsides of their socks. This one has some power to it. Hit it to the left. Backing up is Davis. She's underneath. A loud second out for Creighton. And Davis has had her say on a few of them today. She's had to do the same thing. She's had to range quite a bit. Nina Sarlo singled in the second inning. Just the third hit of her career as time is called. They will talk with Kenzie Schofer here. So yeah, that's what Creighton are working with today. It's legitimate stirrups. You can see when some of them walk, there's some curving and some gaps in between the stirrup and the sock. So that's a smart look for Georgetown. They've got the navy going on today with the gray socks, gray belt. Not too many teams go gray socks, but I think it works for Georgetown. I got Georgetown written across the chest, numbers in front too. And the exciting bit is you just don't know what any of these teams are going to come out with in these next few games of the series. This is just game one. We're on this Friday afternoon in our nation's capital. After that long chat, Sarlo now has to face whatever was told to Kenzie Schofer, who has allowed 5 hits but has placed them sporadically in her outing. 1-0 rises up on Sarlo to make it 2-0. We mentioned game 1 of 3 in this series. Game tomorrow at 11 a.m., so too on Sunday. Of course, there is weather a-brewing, so we'll see how this weekend stays, if it's exactly as scheduled or something needs to be adjusted. It's a 3-0 count to Sarlo. Now beginning to get a sense of the pace here, as there's ball 4. And it's Gabby Park. In a similar scenario as the second inning. 2 runners on, 2 outs. If there is a time for the Georgetown Hoyas to get on the board, this is a really good opportunity for it. See if they can convert. And Schofer goes straight at Park for the first strike. Unassisted ground out to Sydney Potter at first in the second inning. 0-1 comes through as it's fouled away. And now it puts Schofer in a spot where she can go just about anywhere on this. And this is a big one coming as the wind begins to blow, and sure enough, a rise pitch that exits out of the zone. Pitch to Park, and she swings through it. And Schofer takes care of it in the 4th inning. As we march to the 5th, Creighton just nursing this 1-0 advantage. Yet again, Sidra Seville to start off an inning. It's the 5th now. 1-0 for Creighton, their lone run of the game. Ashton Pearson singled in the 1st. And Lily West hit her in. And that is the difference so far between the two. Both Dunn and Schofer have been pitching well. It's a battle of the 16s today. And Seville, who's 0 for 2. And we talked about her leading the team in average this year. It's been just close to everything. Led with a .367 batting average last year as she was named to the All-Big East second team. Had a career-high 33 hits at the time. She has since topped that, but is 3 hits away from 100 in her career. Doesn't look like this game may see that, but we'll see what happens. As sure enough, one is hit perfectly to the wall. Seville thought about going towards third, but it's a stand-up double for the center fielder. Almost kind of on cue, right? She took that to heart, thinking that maybe she wouldn't quite get to 100 in this game. But she's going to set herself up nicely, isn't she? But now you got to think about her on the base paths. She's 15 of 17 this year, which leads the team. Stealing third is tough, but it is 100% a possibility with her out there. Now, Pearson has refused to go down today at the plate. She's got a couple of singles. Doing that bunt single in the third. And she accounts for the lone run that has stepped on home plate. So Dunn now has to maneuver not only with the top and meat of this order, but to think about Sidra Seville over at second. One and one. Moves to 2-1. Oh, it is Pearson. Been really stepping up as of late. And she sends one foul. Just a sophomore, too. Just think about what could be possible for her. But first freshman in Big East history to earn a Defensive Player of the Year honors. Started all games at shortstop last year. It's full, 3-2. But this season for Pearson, no hits in her last two, but had put together a really nice run of play as there's ball 4 against her. She had a 7-game hit streak there in the middle of March. And you could really argue she's seeing the ball extremely well right now. Now it's Lily West, who also has refused to go down today. As a time, we'll see Cameron Dolby trot out to the circle. Talk with the entire infield and Kayla Dunn. And just in case, it is Avery Wismar warming up in the bullpen. Well, the infield will also get some notes from Coach Carla Ross in her first season here at Georgetown. It's the first year where the head coach is not named Pat Conlon, who was just unbelievably instrumental in even making this Georgetown team a thing. Being the only coach in program history, and she just loved the sport so much, wanted it to thrive here, and made this a destination. Bunt was shown, but every runner's going. And so both advance, both Seville and Pearson. So it puts things into an even trickier spot. So now the question is, what do you do if you're Kayla Dunn? Because you got no outs. First base is open. Do you try to get the force or not? Try to put her on. So far, there's 2 balls in this count. So yeah, Carla Ross in her first season. Just an unbelievable passion that she has. And there's a really good chance for her to take this program to new heights as well. Just to write now a new story. And the case has been true and told, even under Coach Collin, but definitely this year there is certainly some excitement for these players to step onto that field every day. Now it's about getting some of the results, which they have not done here as of late. They're hanging around here in this first game of the series against Creighton, a team who lost in the Big East Championship last year. 3-1, over at first and between the gap. 2 runs are in, and Creighton lead 3-0. Now, there was a bobble in right by Gabby Park, but I think Ashton Pearson was going to score anyways. And so a game that had been tight at 1-0, Georgetown couldn't quite score. Now they're down 3-0. I guess the only benefit if you're Kayla Dunn is it's a little bit easier to pitch on this, but that's still not a situation she'd like, being down 3-0. And that looks like that's going to conclude Kayla Dunn's day. And not a bad pitching performance either. Her 3 strikeouts were all in the first inning. She's now 1 away from 350 in her career. And sure enough, that will end Kayla Dunn's time inside the circle. And it will be the grad student Sage Hager to play part as the new pitcher for Georgetown. So we'll let her warm up here. 3-0 is the Blue Jays' advantage over the Hoyas. Top of the 5th inning. So Sage Hager now the new pitcher for Georgetown. Also to note, in right field, Danny Koo is subbed in for Gabby Park. A double switch, if you will. First pitch is driven in the left, and right into it is Sarlo, who tumbles into the fencing. 1 pitch, 1 out. Sydney Potter is next. Well, Creighton had the 1-0 lead through 4 innings, and now in this top of the 5th, Citra Seville led off with a double. Ashton Pearson walked. Both base runners stole, 2nd and 3rd, and then Lily West hit them in. That RBI single, and that is her standing at first base right now, and she got Pardini to bite, throwing to second. Sat almost in no man's land there between first and second base to see where she'd go with that. Well, Hager, who was brought in certainly for this, coming in relief, but of course starting games. This one hit into deep center. Watch out, has a little bit of carry to it. Turner just misses it as it is over the fence. And it's a home run for Creighton. And Sydney Potter And some concern as Claire Turner hit the fence hard, and she is down. Now Coach Ross making her way out too. Check in on Turner. The trainer's out too. So they're going to give her some time here. Health and concern, the priority here of Turner. She is helped up and is able to walk here under her own power. I mean, what an effort by the junior here in center field. She put her all into it. You saw the pace. She knew that it was going to be a tough play, but she wanted to try and make it no matter what was standing in her way. Just to add insult to injury, it does end up as a homer for Sydney Potter. And that clears the base paths, and it's now a 5-0 lead for the Creighton Blue Jays. Potter has her team best 7th home run of the season. She's been incredible this year, hasn't she? It looks like Turner is going to be taken out of this game. It means that Juliana Paul will take her place. That just hurts overall, certainly if you're Georgetown. And we were just singing her praises about an inning ago. That's how much she means to this team, and one of the energy booths, a really good batter, great fielder. Well, Danny Koo actually has moved from right field to center, and they are going to place Juliana Paul in right field. And so now it's Hannah Poole. It's 0 for 2 today. Struck out swinging and flew out to center field. So Hager now, this entire Georgetown team, needing to get their minds back into this, as there's still very much some concern there for Claire Turner. You hope. She just got the wind knocked out of her, but she just was not feeling comfortable, so who knows. I certainly hope and pray for the best. The junior. Swing grounded at short. It's Fenton dialing in a great ball to first for the second out of this 5th inning. Well, now it's even tougher spot for Georgetown, who were already down 3-0. Now they're down 5. Just to try and get back into this one here, and they've only got 3 innings to try and find a way, unless it gets worse here. This one's hit into center just beyond Danny Koo. It's another extra base hit for Creighton. This time it belongs to Erica Perez. Her first hit of the day.
Second base, number 14,
Kenzie Nakasawa. There's a couple of ground outs to second. Well, grounded out. It's a 4-3 in the second, but then a fielder's choice, 4-6 in the last inning. Let's see if this is a pinch runner spot at second base for Perez. Kind of looking like it might be, and indeed it is. Now the pinch runner for Creighton is Avery Barnard, a sophomore from Beatrice, Nebraska. Transferred in from Wichita State. Nakasawa batting with a runner at second. And looks at the first ball here. Sage Hager this year inside the circle, a 6.15 ERA. 46 2/3 innings entering this game. He's now into the 47 innings pitched mark. 9 strikeouts. That is now the 12th home run she has given up this year, which is the most given up by any Georgetown Hoya this year. 2-0, hit into center. Danny Koo takes a couple of steps into that one, and that is all for the 5th inning. Creighton add 4 more runs. And so the lead is 5-0 heading into the home half of the 5th. Welcome back to the bottom of the 5th inning, as Creighton's lead is now 5-0. Happy you're with us here on this Friday afternoon in Washington, D.C. I'm Christian Taylor, as Creighton struck for 4 there in the 5th inning. And looks to be some defensive changes for Creighton. Now moving into right field is Sidra Seville, in replacement of Hannah Poole. Into center field goes Ella Dalton, who we talked about earlier in this game. First pitch is hit into left field, and Lynn Davis camps underneath for out number 1. To Brooke Rebhan. Again, is also leading off for the 3rd time in this game. Juliana Paul hitting for Claire Turner, who had gone 0 for 2 up to this point. Sure hope that she is okay after that massive hit here in center field, chasing down a home run ball to Sydney Potter. Hit over at third, but snatched by Perez in foul territory. Paul this season still looking for her first hit This is her 12th appearance of the campaign. Moves to 1-2. Last year, she appeared in 29, had 3 hits on the season. Those hits coming relatively early. Gets at the time IUPUI, now known as IU Indy. And then back-to-back against Tennessee Martin and Valparaiso. So she does not have a hit since February 24th of 2024. Ooh, just missing. Sort of looked like Lily West was about to go around the horn after a strikeout, but they'll have to go at least one more pitch. Ripped in the left, and it's down for a base hit. Juliana Paul coming in. Her first hit in over a year, and her first hit of the season. Try and pick up her teammate in Claire Turner. Emily Strittmatter is 2 for 2 today. It's a double and a single. And there are things to be said still. Strittmatter pops it up. Foul territory. And Sydney Potter closes down that threat. And Abby Kozo, who has been retired twice by Erica Perez today at third. Both in the air and on the ground. In a big spot again. Just anytime you can get a runner on, you know it's a chance that you can try and capitalize on. Certainly in this sport, with how much smaller the base paths are as compared to baseball, there's just so many other opportunities to get runners around. And Paul's got some speed to her at first. Grounded at shorts. That is the Big East Defensive Player of the Year, making it look easy. And so after that single from Juliana Paul, the next 2 batters thrown down by Chauffeur. And so the 6th inning now is afoot. 5-0 for Creighton. Creighton trying to add on some sort of insurance. This game is March to the 6th. They're coming off their biggest inning of the game. 4 runs crossing the plate there in the top of the 5th. Lynn Davis, Sidra Seville, Ashton Pearson is how it goes. 9-1-2 with Sage Hager on the rubber, who leads the Big East in appearances so far. 10 of 12 games. Finished most games in the Big East with 4 as well. Well, she transfers in from Santa Clara. She was a Bronco over there. 65 appearances, had a 20-15 record, a 3.12 ERA, as that's dribbled foul. 10 complete games, 4 shutouts in 231 innings pitched. That first season, she And that was in 2022, named to a WCC honorable mention selection. She went really well there to start her career, and it's pretty reliable as that career continued. Some good teams there in the WCC. But that Santa Clara team most recently gone 30-23. This was last year. 9-7 in WCC play. Ended up missing that postseason. 0-2, fouled away. Also to note, maybe the biggest moment of her career, she threw a no-hitter against Nevada in 2023. A little bit of finesse on that pitch, but it moves out for a ball. 1-2. Well, she'd certainly love to get another no-hitter in her Georgetown time. Our season not too far away from just about concluding. Ripped into center. Base hit for Lynn Davis. It's her 13th hit of the season. Sidra Seville batting here. Of course, you have to look back to a few years ago. Brooke Plonka, she had transferred in. And she threw a perfect game against Coppin State here in this building. There's been nothing since then for Georgetown pitching. Bunt is laid down, quickly gathered at third by Strittmatter. And how quickly the response was at first by Brooke Rebhan, it prevented Lynn Davis from advancing to third. So, successful sacrifice bunt by Seville. Shows how much of a team player she is, too. So, not only she's been getting a lot of good hits, leading the team there, but she'll be very happy to move a base runner over, too. That's very much in her wheelhouse. As this one towers into center, this is Danny Koo. And the second out is taken in. Retiring Ashton Pearson on one pitch. And Lily West is next. Has 3 RBIs today and has 2 hits. And a run scored, too. And that run scored being in this last 5th inning, scoring on that homer from Sydney Potter. And she was over there at first base for a while because she got on. It was Kayla Dunn who was subbed off. And watch out, this one also has a little bit of distance too, and it is also over the fence. Lily West with her first home run of the season. The lead extends to 7 for Creighton. She just loves playing against Georgetown, Lily West. In 2023, against Georgetown, and the series here in this building, as this one is also layered into left. So a hit now for Kaylin Schultz, her second of the day. They're getting Sage Hager here. She's allowed a few homers. The Georgetown series, Lily West had a hit in each of the games. And last season against the Hoyas, she nearly doubled that. She almost had 2 hits each game. Just one of them, she only had 1 hit. So she has been able to hit well off of these Hoyas. And also to note, she did hit a home run against them last year in the first game of the series. Sydney Potter, who had a 2-run homer in the last inning, Now this is a tricky spot for Georgetown. So, again, there are 2 outs, but one more run and that run rule comes into play. Georgetown would still have a chance to bat in the 6th. If they can keep it at 7, they could at least extend it to 7 innings. Ball 1. And now for Hager, that is 13 home runs allowed this season. And there's just something about this field. The ball tends to carry a little bit more here. I mean, it's fairly elevated here. I mean, when you take a look at the rest of the city, you can, from certain angles, see the rest of Washington, D.C. from here. A lot of hills and valleys in this area, but it very much overlooks. Three and 0 counts to Sydney Potter. Now, certainly the case for Cameron Kondo. We talked about her a few innings ago, just how many home runs she was able to hit in this building. She did so well here. Naya Campos trying to be the same, but there's ball 4 to Sydney Potter. Ella Dalton, who was in the stead of Hannah Poole, batting here for the first time. We talked about just how crucial of a player she is, and it shows the depth of this team. This season, Dalton is hitting .221, but 17 hits. It's the junior from Elkhorn, Nebraska. But plays a good defensive role, too. Last year was an all Big East first-team selection. 326 average, was 4th on the team with 45 hits, and it was really Big East play where it all just kind of came together. 2nd in league play with a 441 average and a 500 on-base percentage. Homered against Georgetown last year. And a homer would really do some damage. Ball 1, as now Sage Hager is struggling to find the strike zone. She's trying to do everything she can to will these Hoyas into the bottom of the 6th inning. Creighton had a 1-0 lead for 4 innings. And it was last inning there, the 5th, where the runs really started trickling in, and now a few homers have been hit on the day. 1-1 as bunt is shown, and Strittmatter picks it up in foul territory. Just needed to touch it. Again, these two teams squaring off again a few more times this weekend. Tomorrow, this is an 11 a.m. game between the two, and the same goes for Sunday. And weather pending, of course. 1-2, ripped up the middle. Koo scoops it up. Here's the green light. Oh, hang on. They're going to put up the stop sign midway for Kaylin Schultz. She was halfway to home, but Danny Koo had played that so well. Oh, keeps the bases loaded, or at least makes the bases loaded for Erica Perez, who has a double. She did so in her last at-bat in the 5th. That was 2 batters after Sydney Potter cleared the yard. Ball 1 goes to her. This has been a little bit of a tale for Georgetown this season. You see a lot of good innings, which is the case of the first 4. But just at times there have been innings that have kind of run away from them. And they're in the midst of that here in these last 2 innings. Just consistent base runners, and the scorebook turns into a little bit of a mess. Strike one. Just a matter of putting together a full and complete game. Just a lot of good pieces here, a lot of good pieces. And you've seen they've given a lot of teams some trouble. But the matter is, what is the next step? Continues foul. You see a really good defending by these teams. These Georgetown teams over the years. A lot of good power, too. And certainly some really good pitchers. Two balls and two strikes with the bases loaded, 2 outs, and it moves to full. So runners should be moving once this pitch goes home. Erica Perez. Hit high, left center. And underneath it is Nina Sarlo. Called off Danny Koo. So it is stayed at 7. Bottom of the 6th inning is next here. And Georgetown down by a bit. It's Nia Campos for Georgetown in the 6th inning as they trail 7-0. Campos 0 for 2 today with a strikeout and a ground out to first. Just looking to get something here on the board today. Not looking entirely great as the writing on the wall is fairly large here on this Friday afternoon. But not impossible to climb on back, and you know that for sure from the Creighton end of things. You saw them against UConn not too long ago, the historic late game comeback. This one a fly out to center field for Dalton. And it's Sammy Fenton from Ventura, California, transferred in from Penn. 132 games with the Quakers, 97 hits, a .260 batting average, and last year she saw a career high of 40 hits. On a team that wasn't too great, won 11 games, 11-29. And this year that Penn team only has 2 wins on the season. They have struggled up there in Philly. 1-1. Now she's able to pick up a few more wins this season here with Georgetown. Chauffeur is still out there, but she hits Fenton. So Fenton will happily take first base. Holly Pardini now, the catcher. Double in the 2nd inning. Flew out to left in the 4th. Just a great story on her working her way here to Georgetown, and she was able to meet the team, meet the players, and was just absolutely fascinated with how these players were able to balance so much here at Georgetown with playing, with their academics, with potential potential work future. There's another reason why you come out here to Washington, D.C. You're going to get a lot of connections. This one bunted in at third, and how about Perez sliding over to it and getting the lead runner in Fenton at second. Now it's Nina Sarlo, who's reached both times today, a single and a walk. So is 1 for 1. But yeah, indeed, Pardini just really liked that, how everybody balanced things. But it was just a dinner with Coach Pat Conlon, and it really increased that excitement of hers to come to D.C. from California. Also, there was a very clear chance that she could compete for the starting catcher spot, and did she win that ever? You can see her play. It's very much increasing in a good way. Program that's seen some good catchers. Quick chance at first there by Lily West. Not only can hit well, but she can defend well. Got a cannon of an arm there behind the plate. 3 balls, no strikes to Nina Sarlo. Staring in the eyes of her second walk of the day, and it's granted. What a good day for her.
Center fielder, number 4,
Danny Koo in replacement of Gabby Park, who had gone 0 for 2 leading into this here. Happy you're with us here today. Georgetown Hoya's YouTube page. Christian Taylor, overcast day. Wind growing just a little bit stronger here in Washington, D.C. Cherry Blossom Festival time, so it's always busy in D.C., but maybe just a little bit busier now. So plan for extra traffic. That's the name of the game. 1 ball, no strikes is Kenzie Schofer trying to get out of this 6th inning. Over at short, it's past that diving Pearson, and they're going to allow Pardini to try and go home. They got her! Well started by Davis in left, and the great tag by West at the plate. And it keeps the Hoyas off the scoreboard. 7th inning, the final frame is next. 7-0 for Creighton. Top of the 7th inning. First, a grounder to Fenton and a wonderful scoop by Kozo at first base. And it sets down the pinch-hitting Megan McCutcheon, the freshman from Defiance, Missouri, who was in for Kenzie Nakasawa. So that is the first out of the 7th inning, as it's a new pitcher for Georgetown. It's Avery Wismar. 6.82 ERA. This is her 16th appearance of the season. Seeing a little bit more action as again her career kind of continues through. As it's a 2-0 count to Lynn Davis, who just put together that outfield assist. Kept the Hoyas off the scoreboard. Count moves to 3-0 for Wismar. This is her 50th appearance in her career. First 2 seasons, she had 14 appearances combined. Last year set a career high of 20. And she started 11 games, so there's a little bit more confidence instilled there in that right arm, but there's ball 4. It's been a really steady growth for her. This has turned into one of her better years. Sidra Seville now batting. Sacrifice bunt her last time up. Had a double and a run scored in the 5th inning and started that big frame off beautifully. 0-1. Now Wismar from Brentwood, Tennessee, attended Ravenwood High School. She's somebody who just loves strategy, loves thinking outside the box, just loves trying to set down batters. In fact, in high school, she tried calling her own pitches instead of waiting on the sign. Very unorthodox, certainly for a high school level, but she was able to read those batters well, how they were swinging, and something that she very much enjoyed. When you just have a softball brain like she does, something like that just becomes second nature. And you see her set in. 0-2 pitch, bounces, and blocked by Pardini. They get 1-2 here. Notice really no wristband for her. There is one, though, on Pardini behind the plate. But you notice no really signs called there. Hit it third. There's the throw to second. Actually hits the second base umpire. And it corrals into center. It's enough for Seville to stay on her horse and get to second base. No run scores, but now there's runners at second and third with 1 out in the 7th. And so it is Ashton Pearson. And time's called again here. Well, that is always just a very interesting dynamic, right? Of course, there's so much that goes into pitcher and catcher relationship, and certainly the same with the dugout too. Sometimes it's very subtle signs, like maybe holding 2 baseballs instead of 1, or 2 softballs instead of 1, or just a simple scratch of the cap, or whatever it may be, instead of actually showing signs or laying down fingers or looking at wristbands or anything. I see that's how Pardini set up. She, behind the plate, looks at her wristband. Maybe one of the true magicians of that. You gotta think back to the great Greg Maddox, pitching there with the Atlanta Braves and a few other teams as well. I mean, there'd be times where he would just sometimes simply nudge his cap or touch his nose. And that was the pitch he was throwing. They really weren't working with signs. He was always a step ahead. And once in a while, you'll see things like that. It's at the collegiate level. That's very advanced for sure. But you're always looking at teams and players on trying to get another step. Certainly some of the best have to do that. 0-1. As Pearson looks at ball one. Pearson today has a couple runs scored, a couple hits too. Both few singles. Last time up, she flew out to center field. Wismar stares in. And it's 2 balls and 1 strike. It's a game that's just kind of gotten away from Georgetown today. 1-0 through the first 4 innings, and they had a couple chances, didn't they? Just to try and knock in a run, and maybe their best chance was the bottom of the 6th inning there, but still nothing is crossed, and Creighton have only gotten stronger, it seems, at the plate. It's got to wonder just what a simple win like this does for your confidence. If you're Creighton, talked about losing 9 of their last 10, but understanding that every series is a new series, and you could begin to do some excellent things and set up your season. Now there's ball 4. Second walk to Pearson today. And it's Lily West who had a 2-run homer in the 6th inning. And if 5-0 wasn't broken open enough, 7-0 is. Bases loaded with 1 out. Strike 1. Washington Nationals Youth Baseball Academy playing host to the Georgetown Hoyas' gorgeous facility here in northern D.C. Popped up infield, and not really needing to move is Rebhan. Second out, as it's Kaylin Schultz, the DP. Couple of hits today, both singles. Of course, a few seasons ago, this place playing home to the Georgetown baseball team too, and was a once-in-a-while home a year before that. Now they play at a very gorgeous stadium in Tysons, Virginia, Capital One Park. This is just a perfect home for this Georgetown softball team. And Howard softball plays here too. 2 balls, no strikes. Of course, so many other youth local teams you want to play here. Get excellent facilities, excellent vantage points too. Strike 1 to Kaylin Schultz, the DP. We mentioned entered this game hitting .310. She's appeared in now her 17th game this season. Has added some power to this lineup. It's good to see her back. You know, didn't play at all until March 7th this year against Providence. First time that she had played in 378 days. After she had slid into home last year against Nevada, tore her ACL. That's just a long way back. Those ACL injuries, and she is the face of determination. Full count here. Can't afford a walk here if you're Wismar. There's a grounder. It's hit off of Wismar's glove. Rebhan recovers and throws out Schultz at first. So no runs cross in the 7th inning. But the lead is 7-0 for Creighton. Looking to put this one to bed. That's next. Top of the lineup for Georgetown in the 7th inning as they trail 7-0. Glad you're with us here. Christian Taylor on this Friday afternoon in Washington, D.C. as Kenzie Schofer is working on a complete game shutout. If she can indeed do so, and it's ball one. The only other time she has not allowed a run in a game this year, you have to go to her second outing against Coastal Carolina on February 8th. And that was because she only threw one inning. Otherwise, every other game she's allowed at least a run. Last year, she had 2 shutouts, 3 complete games. One of those, of course, being against Georgetown. And she's in line for another one against these Hoyas. It's a 2-0 count to Brooke Rebhan. And now 3-0. You would assume that Coach Crystal Wood in her 3rd season, also being a part of the co-coaching staff of the year last season, just let her stay out there as long as needed just to get this complete game. A big confidence boost for her, too. So there's ball 4 on 4 straight pitches to Rebhan as she's on for the first time today. And Juliana Paul singled in the 5th inning. Her first hit in well over 365 days. Replacing Claire Turner, who had gone down with an injury at about that time. Chasing down a home run ball. So now it's 5 straight balls to start off this count for Schofer, who started her career over at Wichita State. 10 games in her freshman season there in 2022. And then 4 appearances in 2023. And was just looking for a new place to play, and Creighton brought her in with open arms. Grounder up the middle. Oh, what a diving play. It's short. Throw it out first. Not quite. That is Ashton Pearson at her best. That is incredible. So after all that, that is a 4 unassisted fielder's choice. And, I mean, Paul might have gotten there anyways. I think you can't fault Sydney Potter for not picking up the ball, but that was sure close. Strike one to Emily Strittmatter, who's 2 for 3 today with a double and a single. That is incredible. We have seen some unreal plays by the Defensive Player of the Year. Now, you know, she does have technically the most errors of anybody on this team this season with 7, but she also has the most assists. Now, the ball is hit to her a lot. And that's just the natural cause of life, right? You get more, you might see more errors. Two and 1. Foul ball. But that play is Ashton Pearson in a nutshell. And she's just a sophomore. Again, you don't just get named Defensive Player of the Year as a freshman. That just doesn't happen. But she went out and did it. Foul territory. This is Potter, who looks over her head. And look out! She can step on first. And that concludes the game. 7-0 win for Creighton on the road here in Washington, D.C. It was a tight game early with Creighton leading 1-0 through 4. But then that 5th and 6th inning opened up the floodgates. A 2-run homer for Sydney Potter, a 2-run homer for Lily West. Really helped pace the offense, as well as a 2 RBI single from Lily West. She finished the day with 5 RBIs. Definitely one of, if not the player of the game. But you also have to look inside the circle for Kenzie Schofer, who gets a complete game shutout again against Georgetown. For just a few in her career, she's been able to notch a few now against the Hoyas. Georgetown unable to get on the board today, but an opportunity to try and get something against Creighton tomorrow. as they look to now stop an 18-game losing streak after starting off the season at 8-3. They now drop to 0-13 in Big East play, and it's Creighton who moved to 13-19 overall and 3-7 in Big East play. But that will conclude it for us here today at the Washington Nationals Youth Baseball Academy. Big thanks to Raph Swanis, who has been helping us out here today, camera, producer, everything you can imagine. I'm Christian Taylor saying so long. Final score is Creighton 7, Georgetown 0. See you next time, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day.